Question: should Christians listen to secular music? Let's chat. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another video. I'm the Tattooed Preacher, and we got a fun one today. We have a topic that's very controversial, a topic that people are passionate about, a topic that people are very opinionated about, and that is the topic of Christians and secular music. Should Christians be listening to secular music? So a few weeks ago, I put out a bit of a feeler video just to kind of see the response I would get on TikTok and Instagram. The answers were kind of all over the spectrum. You know, on one side, there were those that were saying, you know what, Christians should only listen to Christian music. All secular music is not good, it's not godly, should be avoided. Then you had Christians on the other side saying, you know what, we can't be religious. Music is music, music is fine. Christians should be able to listen to whatever they want. And then you had everyone else kind of sandwiched in the middle between those two extremes. There were some that would say, you know what, it's just about the person. You know, some people can handle secular music while other people can't, right? There were some that would say, you know what, well, not all secular music is wrong. I mean, what about romance songs or love songs, right? Those lyrics are not evil, they're not bad, so that should be okay. And there were others that would say, well, what about instrumental music or just kind of melodies, right? If they were not written or created by Christians, how is that wrong? And so there was lots of opinions, lots of discussion. It's a very complicated topic because in the Bible, there are black and white issues. For example, salvation. Salvation only comes through Jesus. That's it. It's non-negotiable. Cold-blooded, premeditated murder is always wrong, right? Not negotiable. But when it comes to these kind of topics like secular music, well, there's not really a Bible verse that says, thou shalt not listen to secular music. And so it kind of falls in this gray area, which then therefore leaves room for lots of debate, lots of discussion, and lots of different interpretations, etc. So this video, it's not going to be a thus saith the Lord. This isn't the word from the Lord from me to you. This is just going to be my personal convictions as I kind of look at this subject, being that it's in that gray area. And so there may be some of you who are going to watch this and disagree, and that's totally okay. Feel free to disagree. I just hope that this gets you thinking for yourself in terms of what does God say to you and what is God saying to you about this particular subject, because it is very important. Music is very powerful, right? Music has a way of getting into the deepest parts of who we are, right? Music affects us emotionally. You know, it can make us laugh, it can make us cry, it can make us angry, it can make us happy, it could make us feel inspired and ready to take on the world. I mean, music has a way of stirring up our emotions. That's a very powerful thing. Oftentimes we associate music with certain memories, right? It could be years and years from a specific situation, and then this song goes on, and it's like you are instantaneously back in that moment. Music has a way of just getting into the inner parts of who we are. It says in Proverbs 4:23, it says, keep your heart with all vigilance, for from it flows the springs of life. Keep your heart with all vigilance. And see, again, our heart is the center of who we are. And so the writer here, he's encouraging us to be vigilant, to be protective with our heart, so that it doesn't get influenced by things that are harmful to us. So when it comes to music, how do we protect and how do we guard our heart? And again, this is where it kind of gets in that gray area, because depending on the person, people may be affected differently in different situations. So for me personally, I would say that there's certain music that I feel okay to listen to, and then there's certain music where I kind of like, I feel like God's not cool with that. I can kind of feel that in my spirit. And it's funny, I did this TikTok video back in December, and I think the video was about end times, Revelation, something like that. But I put it to a melody from a Red Hot Chili Peppers song, just because I felt like it fit. It felt like it fit the flow. The sound just kind of jived with what I was saying, and I thought it was good. But there were so many people who commented on that video, and they were like, how could you put a satanic song from a satanic band, to this music talking about God, right? It does not go. You can't do that. And so there are a lot of people who were super offended by that. And I get where they're coming from in the sense that offended them. That kind of gave them a check in their spirit. But here's the thing, it didn't do that to me. When I kind of was putting that video together, I found this song and I listened to it. I liked it. I felt like I resonated with it. It was just a melody, and so I'm like, you know what? I feel like this is cool. And so I went with it. But that's an example there of how two Christians, me and other Christians, who listened to the same music but came to completely different outcomes. Their conviction was like, this band is non-Christian. This band has kind of come out with, maybe songs that weren't very good. Therefore, you can never, ever listen to their music and have no relationship with that, right? Whereas I come from the perspective that, this particular song was fine. It was just a melody from that song. And so I felt no conviction. I didn't feel God was like, you know what, Joel, I don't think you should use this particular song. And so I went with it. And so I think that's where the battle is. That's where everyone has to kind of come to their own conclusions here. Like, what is God saying to you? How are you protecting your own heart? Because there are certain music that I may listen to that may offend you. And there's certain music that you may listen to that may offend me. So the question is, what is God actually saying to you? What are your convictions on whatever song that you are listening to? And so keep your heart with all vigilance. You have to have the relationship with the Lord where you allow him access into your mind and your heart to say yes or no. To say, you know what, that song is not really cool. That song is filled with a bunch of junk. I don't want you listening to that. There may be someone else who may listen to that song and they don't feel that same sense of conviction, and that's okay. That is the beauty of relationship. That is the beauty of our own walk with God. We just can't get to a place where we then start judging other people for our own convictions. And so that's why I preface this whole video by saying this is just my convictions. This isn't thus saith the Lord. This isn't my own, this isn't like a word from God from me to you. This is just my thoughts. And my thoughts on this may change in 10 years. I have no idea. But I can't impose my convictions on you just like you can't impose your convictions on me in these kinds of areas. And so you have to use discernment. And so I feel like both extremes, probably not okay. So many issues, it's kind of somewhere in the middle. And so use discernment, use your judgment. I mean, if you're listening to a song that's just basically filled with a whole bunch of garbage, is it a sin to listen to it? Like, are you going to go to hell for listening to it? You know what I mean? Like, probably not. Is it wise? Is it filling your heart with stuff that's good? Is it beneficial to you? Is it uplifting to you? You know, these are the kinds of things that you have to wrestle with. Paul writes in Philippians 4:8, he says this, he says, finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, if there is any excellence, if there is anything worthy of praise, think about these things. In Ephesians 5:4, the Apostle Paul says this, he says, let there be no filthiness, nor foolish talk, nor crude joking, which are out of place, but instead let there be thanksgiving. Now again, so we have Paul saying, you know, be careful kind of what you joke about. Let no filthy talk come from your mouth. Well, what is that? I mean, again, that could be different for every person. Paul says, you know, think about things that are pure, that are lovely, that are honorable, that are commendable. And so there's a lot of music out there that, if you're honest, is it honorable? Is it lovely? Is it commendable? Is it pure? In those situations, this is where it's an issue between you and the Lord. You have to wrestle with this with God. Don't let other people tell you what to believe, even though they may be correct. It's between you and God, and you have to have that kind of relationship with Him where you can dialogue with Him about these things. You have to understand what influences you. You have to understand where your heart's at. You have to really be intentional with what you're allowing into you, how it's affecting you, and dialogue with the Lord about those things. Ask Him, hey God, is this song good for me or not good for me? Is this song beneficial to me? Is it not? Is this song gonna, cause me to think things and feel things that aren't godly? If they are, probably not a good idea to listen to it, right? But again, dialogue with the Lord about it. But I want to end with this. If I'm honest, I have a bit of a conspiracy theory side to me. I honestly do believe that the music industry, on some level, has an agenda, basically anti-God. I think there is a group of people, or however you want to define that, who are pumping out songs, not because they were inspired to write this music that meant something to them, but they're pumping out music and songs for the purpose of influencing a generation of people in very negative and detrimental ways. I mean, if you look at a lot of the music that's coming out now, that has been out, there's just so much junk in it. And I feel like it's on purpose. And so I do believe that in certain recording of these songs and these lyrics and all this kind of stuff, it's kind of birthed in an environment that's very demonic. It's birthed in an environment that's very satanic. And so as these songs are created, as these songs are produced in that environment, and then when they get sent out into the world, it has negative effects. It's got like an evil, demonic force with it that, if people aren't careful, is going to influence them. And so I do say this, we have to be careful what we listen to, because music, again, it has a way of bypassing our heart and our mind and gets down to the core, and we can be influenced by stuff and not even know it. And so that's why we have to be on guard. We have to have, our spiritual armor intact. We have to be constantly in relationship with the Lord, in dialogue with the Lord over these things. We have to be on guard, because I really believe that there is an agenda out there that's satanic in nature, and that He uses music as a weapon for the destruction of people's minds and hearts. And so I just want to throw that out there. I wanted to put that at the end because, again, that's a whole other subject in and of itself, and I don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole in this particular video, but I did want to mention it because I do think it's real, and I do think it's important to recognize, because there could be certain stuff that we're listening to. It's not just that maybe it's not the most wholesome or, uplifting or whatever, but it's got some spiritual attachment to it, and it's going to get on the inside of you and begin to cause problems in your life, and you may not even realize it. Well, that's it for this video. Again, I hope that made sense. This is a huge topic. We could talk about this subject for hours. Think I got my point across. I hope that I got my point across. Again, feel free to disagree, feel free to challenge me, feel free to comment on this video. I do hope this video causes you to kind of think about these things in your own life. What is God saying to you about the music that you are listening to? Feel free to follow me on Instagram and TikTok at The Tattooed Preacher. Hope you all have a great rest of your day, evening, afternoon, wherever you're watching this from and whenever you're watching this from. Much love. God bless.